After a 2-year hiatus, the World Championship of Shoemaking finally returned to London this May. The annual competition allows the world's best bespoke shoemakers to showcase their incredible craft as they compete for the most prestigious award in the shoemaking industry, the World Championship of Shoemaking. The event attracted over 30 bespoke shoemakers from across the globe to compete, with this year's challenge being to create their own example of a brown wingtip. After completing my role as one of the judges again this year, I headed over to the London Super Trunk Show, an event which hosts a range of shoemakers from across the world. But more importantly, it is also where the World Championship of Shoemaking reveals this year's winner. So join me inside the Super Trunk Show to hear the results from this year's competition.
And we're going to present the top 10, starting from the 10th until number 1. And I'm going to say them, and Justin going to place them from 10 to 1. All right.
You want me to?
Yeah, move them forward, yeah. And we have at 10th place, Koji Endo from Japan. And I will try to pronounce the names and all that properly. 9th place, we have Nathan Wang, who I think is based in, is it Singapore?
No, he's in Korea.
Korea, yeah, South Korea. But he's been working in Europe for quite some time. He's been at Gatsian and Girling, for example, and have a lot of experience from that. And recently sort of started making full bespoke under his own brand, I think. 8th place, we have Clematis Ginza. Also from Japan. I should say that now I will only mention the names that they've been registered under, but in the when we introduced all the shoes on the blogs, we will present who have made what. There's some shoes that the makers have made everything, but some shoes there's different people involved, and all that will be introduced. But I will try to get it up here for the top 3. But yeah, we'll continue. Clematis Ginza is Keitaro Takano and Kiemi Chiba, based in Tokyo. Okay, we have 7th place, Hiroshi Takagi. I believe he's also from Japan. We've had several South Korean and Japanese makers were the ones that were most represented, I believe. 6th place, we have Jeon Ji-hoon from South Korea. And getting into the top 5. On 5th place, we have Tatsuya Kamikubo. Also from Japan. We have 4th place, Christophe Cote from France. And he was the 2nd place shoe in last year, and I think he finished 8th first year, 2nd place this year, and now 4th. So he's always up there in the top. And you should definitely have a look at the bottom of this shoe later on. Okay, top 3. Unfortunately, I don't think we have any of these makers here. which is a bit of a shame because we've been really lucky to have at least the winner in the room. But the top three, we will have, I just mentioned them without the individual order now. We have Kenjiro Kawashima, who made a really cool shoe with Norwegian stitching. He has, I think it's called picra stitching, or these hand-stitched details along the broguing and the upper, and really nice, neat making and high level of difficulty. Some nice nail work on the sole. Kenjiro is based in South Korea. He's also doing the bespoke shoes for Norma Villalta, I believe. So yeah, not a famous name, but definitely he will. Yeah, exactly, someone to watch out for. And then we have Wataru Shimamoto from Japan. Yeah, a quite spectacular shoe. Very neat and elegant, quite aggressive shapes. Not least the bottom and the metal work and amazing upper stitching. Quite special heel. Wataru is based in Japan now. He used to work together with Il Micio in Florence before. I think his brand is Orma Shoemaker, his own brand. And then we have Ken Kataoka, perhaps the most spectacular entry of this year's contest, for obvious reasons. I mean, it's, yeah. I think everyone has held this shoe in their hands when they came in here. I've seen that it's a lot of people have taken it up. Of course, an exhibition piece for sure. Although, for all you folks out there, I think it's actually wearable, so you don't have to be nervous about that. But that's not a criteria for many reasons that we can discuss later. But just say, and yeah, it's really nice made. It a lot of hand-stitched details on the upper and hand-painted gold things and an astonishing heel, of course. So these are our top three. And then, third place in the World Championships in Shoemaking 2022, we have Kenjiro Kawashima. All right. And I think I will now announce the winner. I don't remember how I usually do this, but it makes sense. So it will be either Ken Kataoka or Wataru Shimamoto. And it was, I can say that it was probably the most leveled top of all the contests that we had. Maybe not a shoe that sort of jumped out compared to some others that we've had some year, I think, where the points have been more varied. But I think it was only like 7 points or something like that was the difference between the number one and the runner-up. Okay. The world champion in shoemaking 2022 is Wataru Shimamoto. So second place, Ken Kataoka, and winner Wataru Shimamoto. A seriously amazing shoe. And here we have the medals that these guys will be sent. The shoes will now go on a world tour around at least 10 different countries where they will be showcased for shoe-interested people, literally all around the world. So that we will organize starting sometime after summer, and then it will continue until next year. And we will be back with another contest, of course, for 2023. Okay, me and Justin just want to thank you all for being part of making this day such a great day. Thank you, everyone.
So I'm here right now with the 2019 World Champion of Shoemaking, Daniel Wiegand. Unfortunately, none of the top 3 shoemakers were able to make it. So I asked Daniel Wiegand if he would mind taking a little bit of time to kind of walk us through some of the nuanced characteristics that really made these shoes stand out. So, Daniel, congratulations again, 2019. And, I think one of the things that's interesting is you can really see your influence in the 2019 championships influence.
Absolutely.
In a lot of these shoes. And so generally, kind of what did you think before we jump into these?
I think the top 3 shoes, they were kind of my top 3 as well. I think they were great executed concepts, but they were all very different concepts. One was more classic, heavy, maybe like a traditional long wing. One was obviously very extreme showpiece with the extended heel and the kind of old school French tongue, and a very beautiful kind of contemporary looking classic men's shoe.
Well, one of the things that I appreciate so much about this concept is, again, how much it's pushed the craft. And so there's a lot of nuance to detail and difficulty in a shoe at this level that might not be obvious to the untrained eye. So for this shoe, and maybe for the other 2 as well, I thought it would be fun and certainly very enlightening to have someone like you, of course, walk through and point out some of those details.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I haven't met him in person, but me and Wataru Shimamoto, we've talked a few times on Instagram and shared ideas and kind of acknowledged the fact that we have fairly similar taste in shoes. And I actually, just after the winner was announced, I sent him a message to congratulate him. And he just got back to me like 5 minutes ago saying that my shoe was his reference for his contribution this year. So there's definitely a lot of similarities, and this was my top pick as well for this competition.
Mine as well.
And I think they're all excellent, but I feel like this shoe is a little bit greater than the sum of its parts. It's hard for me to pick one area that really stands out as being amazing, but together there's everything is done very neat. You have a seamless style. You're making like a wingtip heel counter look out of a long wing style, which I think is a very attractive way of tweaking the pattern within the rules and regulations, of course. And yes, just beautiful stitching around, beautiful sole stitch, and a heel shape obviously inspired by the shoe I made.
Yeah.
And just beautiful metal work, very clean, but at the same time keeping in the tradition of traditional shoemaking.
Yeah.
So it's obviously made using those techniques. Thin lifts, beautifully stacked.
Beautiful waves.
I just can't find anything to really not love about it.
Yeah, no, absolutely beautiful shoe. And again, nice last. One of the things I appreciated is, it had real dimensionality to the toe puff here.
So you have a chisel line coming through here, but with the round fullness dome toe, which I think also works great for a shine, that you get reflections from every angle, even though you have that chisel in it. So it's just a beautiful shape.
And were these uppers hand sewn or machine sewn? Do you know?
It's one of those uppers where it's really, really well made, and I find it very difficult to really pick it out.
Yeah.
If I would have one criticism to the competition, would be to have a slight briefing on some of the details of the shoe to really know what you're looking at, so that you can make a fair judgment on the shoe.
Because if it's really flawlessly executed, you wouldn't be able to necessarily
you don't want
to
punish people. You don't want people to get punished with points just because you couldn't see how it was made just because it was done well. So I think that would be great.
So this next pair, very interesting and very different.
Yeah, I would definitely the stand out visually on the table. Mostly maybe for its height, that it was just, you know, a couple of inches above all the other shoes. But yeah, yet again, beautiful work. I really like the idea of having a top line that's quite effeminate, like a very low-cut feminine style shoe. And if you know shoe history, you kind of know this style, like, you know, early century French shoemaking. And it's, yeah, adding these gilded details is very, very cool. And obviously the standout feature is the heel. That's just an interesting concept, but I also think executed really, really well. I think something like this is very easy to do badly, but this I think is made beautifully. And it's got the ridge, the beautifully stacked heel, and it has shapes that are attractive. So even though it's out of the ordinary, it's not just different but also beautiful. And I think that's what really strikes me about this shoe.
And I think this one right here really showcases, you know, again, how the competition is meant to kind of push the boundaries, not merely create just a great shoe.
When we first started talking about a competition like that a few years ago, you know, I was always, you know, part of trying to encourage this competition to happen, but I know I'm not the guy to organize it. But the first year we did the competition, the shoes were quite basic, much more like normal shoes made well. Now it's becoming more what I hoped it would be, that these things kind of are not necessarily always wearable, but there's details about them that can inspire, and like you said, every year the shoes take elements of previous winners and add it. So I think in a few years it's going to be crazy.
Now this last shoe right here, this placed third, I think had some really interesting and unique you know, techniques used that made it particularly difficult. I wanted to see if you might point those out.
I think what served this shoe really well was, and gave it high scores, is because it's got so many different techniques in here. It's basically like a sampler of every stitch you can make a shoe, or put two pieces of leather together. You got like the skin stitch here with the two pieces of leather butted together. You got the hand sewn upper. You got the you know, the braided Norwegian construction with the bevel waist. Like I said before, beautiful nail work. Yeah, it's a very interesting way of dealing with the surfaces. And I think it's the most long wing looking shoe here. Like you think like a heavier shoe, more casual. You know, the winner, very dressy, a dressy interpretation of that shoe. And this is more chunky, like, you know, in the spirit of the long wing shoe, like a traditional American style men's shoe. But it's a completely unique take, and adding a lot of elements that are difficult. And it's just got everything.
Yeah, well, great. Well, Daniel, hey, thank you so much. And, you know, it's amazing to kind of see this level of craft, and, you know, really, I think gives me certainly encouragement at just, you know, the health of the overall kind of bespoke shoe industry. And so, yeah, thank you for talking through this with us. And,
thank you for letting me share my opinion on high-end shoemaking. It's always a pleasure.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.